Friends, I know I said November I was going to review this manga, but obviously I changed my mind because we're doing it now, but I'm really excited and I was like, I have to start sharing this about this manga earlier. Hello friends, happy Friday, so very excited that you're here. As you guys can see, I'm doing a manga review and it's actually a manga that you guys voted for, and that is The Haunted Bookstore, Gateway to a Parallel Universe. I had to make sure I said that because that's a pretty long title, but majority of the time and everywhere I've seen, we just all call this The Haunted Bookstore, which, you know, would make sense, even though it's a super long title. Anyway, this is a manga and it is a light novel. And as I shared, I asked you guys to vote, and I have to apologize for this. I asked you guys to vote which of like 3 manga. It was The Haunted Bookstore, Miss Meows, and Would Love to Get Closer to You, and My Sister the Cat. I asked which one of these 3 would you like to see the most, like me do a video review on? Because I was gonna sort of do like a month of shonen manga reviews, since in December I'm doing the 25 days of shoujo manga. And I was like, oh, that'd be really fun. But here is the thing, and this is where I must apologize. This is technically a shoujo manga. The light novel is a seinen, but the manga adaptation is a shoujo. And I said, oh, I didn't realize that. So I do apologize for the mix-up on my part there, my friends. I didn't realize. I'm like, I wish websites would make it more clear when a title, like what their demographic is. Because if you have a light novel and a manga and they're 2 different demographics, it gets super confusing at that point. Anyway, I read this earlier this week and I was gonna do a different manga review for today's video, but I just got really excited and wanted to talk about this manga a whole lot sooner. Probably didn't help that on Wednesday I featured my Spooky Vibes video. I did feature this manga in that video, but let's go ahead, talk about this manga in case if you're not familiar with it, because I definitely feel the manga is pretty underrated. I feel like people who have read this story are reading the light novels, and the light novels seem to be really good, and I actually might see if my library has them, but I will talk more about that after I say what this manga is about. So this manga is about our main girl. She's a human and she lives in the spirit world, or like spirit realm, and she works at this place, the Haunted Bookstore, and at this bookstore there's sort of like where the human realm and the spirit realm, they sort of blend together. Like they're in the spirit realm, but I guess how things work, like they don't necessarily deliver books to humans, but they sometimes will go into the human realm to deliver books to spirits that may live there. For the most part, she has a pretty happy life. She works in the human realm, but she comes home to the spirit realm where she loves being. This is her home. But then one day they come across this man, and he is a self-proclaimed exorcist, and he is looking for a spirit, his partner, who he feels may actually be in the spirit realm. He is not all that kind, he's not all that friendly, and he's right here on the cover. I feel like very tough around the edges, and when he does say things, it's not really in the most friendliest of matters. So that sort of takes place in the first volume, where our main girl, she's meeting him. They're sort of low-key getting to know each other because he is injured from the injury that happened to him. But as the series progresses and it goes into volumes 2 and 3, you see her interact with different spirits and how she is delivering books to them and her interactions with them. This is very much a slice of life manga. I do not know where the haunted part comes in with this Haunted Bookstore. There is nothing scary about this manga. In fact, if you did watch my Spooky Vibes video, and I'm going to share it here because he is a cute little bean. I said he was so precious in that one, and I'm going to say it again because he really is so precious. Like, this is a good showing of what exactly these monsters or these spirits, what they look like. They look like this little goblin who is so cute. He's so adorable. None of these, minus, I feel like, except for one spirit, none of them are actually scary or creepy. Like I said, except for the one that I didn't like and it involves spiders. Outside of that one spirit, like, everybody is pretty cute looking. They're not very scary. There was like at no point when I was reading this manga that I ever feel like I need all the lights on in my house, especially at nighttime. Like, I never had that vibe. And so because of that, because of the art style and how these little monsters are drawn and them being super cute, I don't know where the haunting part comes in, which is okay for me. Like, I'm not even gonna knock that. That was actually why I felt comfortable picking up this series, because my friend, when I asked her, she had read it, and I also did a poll poll on Instagram, I believe, asking if people would be interested in me reading this. But anyway, but outside of that, I specifically asked a friend who I knew had the first volume, and she said that it was very slice of life, and I was like, okay, that's all I need to know because I really enjoy slice of life manga in general, and this one very much felt it was. Story-wise, I enjoyed these 3 volumes, but I do feel like volume 1 is the strongest. I really, really enjoyed this first volume. But then like when volume 2 came, or when I started volume 2, when I started reading volume 2, I feel like there was some kind of disconnect. It still had the slice of life, but I definitely feel like I was missing out on things. Volume 3, I didn't quite feel the same way. Usually, I feel like when I'm reading manga adaptations of light novels, I feel like they're pretty well done in the sense where they stand on their by itself. Like you don't have to read the light novel because you're missing so much information in the manga. This one, I did feel like it was a good standing manga, but then I sort of started wondering when it came to volume 2, am I missing something? Because I really appreciate when you have like the cast of characters and then like this little, not excerpt, but where they give you like a forward of, so to speak, where they're like, okay, this is what's taken place in the story so far. And so I was reading the cast of characters and I felt like there were things said on this page alone that I did not feel was mentioned in volume 1. I did not know that for the guy that he was looking for a specific spirit. I thought he was just looking for his partner, and originally I thought his partner was human because either I didn't feel it was explained well in that sense and just assumed, or I missed that information. I really don't know. Now I did read volume 1 twice, so I still felt that he was a human both times that I read it, like the guy's partner. But when I read that in this volume, in volume 2, I was like, I think I'm missing something here. It's really the only time I felt like when I was reading volume 2 that I felt like this would be more of a companion to the light novel, that things would be more fuller and more richer when it came to maybe the bookstore, because the bookstore surprisingly doesn't take a large part of the story. Like you see it and you know it's there, and our main girl at times is delivering books to different people, but it really wasn't until volume 3 that I felt like we're starting to see the bookstore play an active role in the story. Now saying that, because I feel a little bad, like I'm starting off with like a negativity, but I think it's just important to note that because it did hinder my fullest enjoyment. Like I felt with volume 1, it was a strong first volume and felt like I didn't need to read the light novel. But then as the series went on, I really did feel like, okay, maybe I should read the light novel so that I can get the greater sense of this world, because you can definitely feel like it is a big world. And we see some of that, of course, in the series, but it really feels like the light novel is maybe the way to go with this series. But even with saying that, I would still say that I'm going to recommend this manga because there were a few key points that were so emotionally moving. This is a very whimsy story. I forgot the word. They use like atmosphere fantasy or something like that for the blurb online. And I think that that's really true. There's not this looming sense of danger majority of the time. Like, you know that these spirits, yes, they can be dangerous and you have to be careful, especially with our main girl being a human. She needs to not be alone in the dark with any of them, and in the spirit realm it's always dark. But she has these, they're not really on the first volume, I think they're on the third one. Yes, these like glimmer butterflies, and they sort of accompany her wherever she goes, and also the community absolutely loves her. And that was a huge part of why I love this series. It takes more place in volume 2, but with all of the things that are happening in the world right now, and how there is a lot of people that are showing the prejudice that they have against other people, nationalities, those having different religious views than them or different political views, and just a palantra of things. It's really hard. But this manga, I know that it's more of, let me rewind. Our main girl, her dream is for humans and spirits to be friends. That is her deepest dream that she has. She wants to see that realized. She wants this exorcist to see, yes, maybe you have been taught these things about spirits, and that they are dangerous, but not all spirits are evil. Not all of them need to be casted away. Like, you can genuinely befriend them. And you see this very critical critical key moment in volume 1. I think not just for our main girl, but for our guy as well, of how they are watching that cute little goblin that I shared earlier, that they're watching him with another monster slash spirit. These two humans are sitting right by them, and there's no danger that is coming at them, towards them, or even involving them. They're just over there. These goblins are just peacefully reading. And he's like, I have always been taught that spirits are evil, that they need to be casted out. But here I am. And he is questioning the entire way he has been raised, the entire way that he has viewed these spirits. And I could not help but think, as it went into volume 2, of how true that is for us in the real world, that there are times where we need to just take off our prejudice, our views, that because we maybe have been taught all of our lives, this race or this person that believes this or this person that has this gender identity, that they are wrong, that they're evil, that they need to be slandered, like that they just need to be treated unfairly. And no, that is so wrong. And it's a theme that I feel like continues in this series, where we're able to see these spirits and these humans be friends, come together, stand together, that they have trust in one another. And even when our main guy, like, he has a moment where he just sort of blows up and he's like, you know what, these spirits may be making fun of me, they may be laughing at me behind my back, and they're just waiting for that moment they can pounce on me and take me out. And our main girl's like, you need to stop it. You need to stop it, because she has grown up with these spirits. She's been raised by a spirit herself in the spirit realm. That's how she has been there. And that's why she loves these spirits so much and feels at home more here in the spirit realm than she does in the human realm. And she's like, you need to stop. You need to stop. And I love that scene, but I wish it would have been expanded, where she could share her heart of like, I know you're hurting right now. I know that you are panicking. You're worried about your partner, and you have finally found him and he's not in the best of condition, but you don't need to go fall back to your old beliefs after what you've seen and suddenly just slander all of these spirits, especially when there are two in the room with you who have shown some of the greatest hospitality than your own family has ever shown you. I loved seeing that theme shine in this manga. It reminded me so much of Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts, which I reviewed, and I talked more about that. Like, it really addresses racism and prejudice that we as people may have in the real world, but we're seeing in that series, we're seeing through the eyes of humans and beasts. And in this series, we're seeing in the eyes through humans and spirits. It is the biggest reason that I would want to continue this series, because I love when we have that kind of message. And for a slice of life manga, I did not expect that. I came in expecting something lighthearted, and you definitely have that, but it is surprisingly very deep in ways that you may not expect or prepared for. It makes you think, it makes you really reflective, and there was more than one time that I felt very emotional because of what these characters are going through. In volume 1, there is something that was said, the actual main guy actually says it, which was so odd because of how grumpy he is and how really he just seems sort of emotionally cut off, like that he just cannot get over his own things in his head to view these spirits in any other way. And I get that it's not going to be easy and whatnot, but he could just be a whole lot nicer. Before that theme that I was talking about, before it's coming fully into focus, we have a moment in volume 1 where our main girl, she is hanging out with these spirits. She's reading books to them every single day, and something happens and it totally shatters her. It breaks her heart, and she feels like she needs to shut down that part of herself, because she's like, the spirits would not react the same way that I am right now. And the guy reminds her, he's like, just let go and cry. It's okay to be human. Love that line. It's okay to be human. It's okay to have emotions. We are all people and we all struggle with different things. That is normal because we're humans. It was just such an incredible reminder of when, you feel out of place in wherever you are. Our main girl, she's a human. She doesn't technically belong in the spirit world, but that is where her home is. But she's reminded in moments like these, she's very much human. And it's really hard to be human. And sometimes I think she wants to be, if I was just a spirit, maybe I wouldn't have this same struggle. But that struggle is what makes you human. Not saying like the spirits don't have struggles, but I feel like from what we are shown in this series, the spirits do view life differently, and definitely when it comes to lifespans, view that very differently. And talking about lifespans, when it came to volume 2, there was another quote that I absolutely love, because when it comes to my favorite point, I'm gonna let it be my wrap up. And our main girl is saying, human lifespans seem long, but they're actually quite short. Don't waste your limited time together misunderstanding each other. That can be said so well for life today. Again, going back to what I said, and I'll drop it, of just how we view people. Don't let misunderstandings take away potential friendships or friendships we've already built, relationships. Talk about these things, because for our guy, there are two different stories, two different ideas from two different people slash monsters, creatures, spirits, however you want to say it, have very different views on what happened. And our main girl's reminding them, like, don't waste your limited time together misunderstanding each other, especially when you have memories together that are fond, that bring you joy, that make you happy. Like, don't let those go to waste. It really does feel that time, it seems long, but then when you think back, you're like, man, I think somebody said the days are long, but the years are short, and it is 100% true. And I really love that. It was so powerful, so very well done. And I think the final thing that I want to mention when it comes to favorite parts of this series is our main girl's relationship with her adoptive father, who is a spirit. There is this beautiful and moving scene that happens in this 3rd volume. I'm not going to go in depth about it because of spoilers, but I feel like through the eyes of a parent, because we're seeing in that moment that our main girl, she's really young. It's like a flashback that she's having, or that her adoptive father's having. And it was so beautiful and so touching. And she's telling him more or less, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he's like, I don't really know. I don't know. And she's like, well, if you're an adult and you don't know what you want to be and you're not something, does that make you nothing? I was like, girl, asking some big questions here, like, it's sort of depressing when you think about that, especially when I think of for myself that, I graduated with an associate's degree, but when I went for my major twice on 2 different occasions, 2 different kind of majors, I dropped out both times because I needed to take care of my family and my kids and be involved. But there were times that I myself felt like I was nothing because I didn't have that something. And my something was going to be, well, I'm going to be a teacher, or I'm going to be a graphic designer, and neither one of those panned out. The thing is our main girl, when she's being a little kid, she tells him, I'm going to be right beside you every single step of the way. I'm going to be your daughter, and I'm going to encourage you, and I'm going to help you, and I want to see you get that something. And I love his response when he tells her, don't worry, I have the most important thing right here. And I've come to terms, but that sounds like a negative way, but I feel like it's taken me many years to see me having something of having a university degree is not nearly the same for me personally where I am in my life as it is being able to be with my kids, be involved with them, know what's going on in their life, help support them, and see the something that they're going to grow up and be. I don't have nothing. I do have something. Saying all of that, seeing their relationship through this series was everything. I feel like the last time I really loved a relationship that the main character had with her parents was probably Kimi ni Todoke. I love the relationship that Sawako and her dad have. So very good. And this series has that beautiful, loving, nurturing, everyday kind of like where he gets sort of cranky and she's like, stop being a worrywart kind of thing, dad. And he's like, I'm so taken aback, like, how dare you, I'm just worried. They have this beautiful and meaningful relationship as father and daughter, and I love it. It is another part of this series that would keep me buying volumes just so I could see more of that, because I have not seen it represented in such a beautiful way like I have in this series. And he is so cool looking, by the way. I really love how he looks. He has a really cool look to him, because I'm trying to find a good page of him where he's not running. This isn't the best, but I guess here he is right here. I love his little horns, and when you have that flashback, there's a really cute scene with that. He's such a great guy, and you can see the love that he has for his daughter so much, even if they're not blood related, even if one is human and one is spirit. There was a great scene too where she's questioning in her mind will you always view me as your little girl, even when I'm aging really fast? And she's like, if I'm in my 20s, 30s, 40s, will you still view me as a little girl? And just in the back of my mind, I was thinking like, yes, the way he has acted in this manga, the way he cares for her, the way that he makes it known, yes, he will always view her as his little girl. So I guess with all of that said, I know that I mentioned that I feel like maybe this would be better as a companion to the light novels. I still really enjoyed it. There are elements in this that I feel like are just going to stick with me. I'm like, I can read it for just that one thing, even if it's not fully in each volume. As long as that theme continues and I see the relationships, I want to keep reading because it was just very unexpectedly moving, a heartfelt but yet very fun series that does not have too much danger or lurking danger at that. Volume 2 literally had the scariest part, and it wasn't even like things that happen, they happen off page. You just know as a reader that it's taking place. So again, would I recommend this? Yes. For the reasons that I stated, I would recommend checking this out. It is a good one that I think you could read any time of the year. It doesn't have overly spooky vibes, but it is one that I would say could be a fun one to read around Halloween, especially if you're looking for something that has like low-key Japanese folklore and has really great characters with some really nice art. It was a great read, and I appreciate everybody who voted for it. I hope, friends, that you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear from you. Do you enjoy reading manga that have a focus on Japanese folklore or spirits or mythology? I would love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!